All right, we're going to Luke. Big surprise. Do you think in the 3 years of Yeshua's earthly ministry that maybe he might have spoken similar things or stories or parables to different groups of people?
Yes.
Probable, huh? Have you seen heard the same things come out of me time and time? Because it comes out, right? It's probable. So today's where we're at in Luke. Some of these we've heard before, and so I'm not going to comment on them, okay? Unless he stops me. Luke 14. So I won't comment on them because I've already commented on them, okay? Not too long ago in Matthew, John, Mark, okay? If he stops me, I will, but otherwise we're going to keep going, all right? Okay, so hopefully we're going to cover a lot of ground today, but like I say, it's because some of this is familiar, all right? Okay, Luke 14, out of the Complete Jewish. One Shabbat, Yeshua went to eat in the home of one of the leading Purushim, Pharisees, and they were watching him closely. In front of him was a man whose body was swollen with fluid. And Yeshua spoke up and he asked the Torah experts and the Purushim, does the Torah allow healing on Shabbat or not? Well, but they said nothing. So taking hold of him, that means he laid hands on him, right? He healed him and sent him away. But then to them, he says, which of you, if a son or an ox falls into a well and hesitates to haul him out, will hesitate to haul him out on Shabbat? And to these things they could give no answer. Has he said something? We've read this similarly already before, right? Something just like this. A little different, but right? Okay, moving on. When Yeshua noticed how the guests were choosing for themselves the best seats at the table, he told them a parable. He teaches in parables, right? Okay. When you're invited by someone to a wedding feast, don't sit down in the best seat, because if there is someone more important than you who has been invited, the person who invited both of you might come and say to you, give this man your place. Children, what happens when someone older walks in and you're in a good seat? I don't have to ask you, though, do I? No, you know, get up and give the seat, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, this is different. These are adults that coming in, they're taking the best seats, and then they're being asked. I've seen this actually happen. It's kind of embarrassing. Then you will be humiliated as you go to take the least important place. Instead, when you're invited, go and sit in the least important place, so that when the one who invited you comes, he will say to you, oh, no, oh, what are you doing over here? Come on, no, I have a seat for you over here. Right? Mm-hmm. Let another one praise you. Isn't that something we've learned? Right. Okay, all right, okay. Because everyone who exalts himself will be humble. Ooh, let it be so. But everyone, that falls in line with Al's Jonah. Just saying, okay, moving on. But everyone who humbles himself will be what? Exalted. Do you have to do it? No. And when it happens, don't gloat.
Yeah, because then you just lost it.
You lost it. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. You're actually over there. Just saying. All right. Yeshua also said to one who had invited him, when you give a lunch or a dinner, don't invite your friends, your brothers, your relatives, or rich neighbors, for they may well invite you in return, and then what will be your repayment? Instead, when you have a party, invite poor people, disfigured, the crippled, the blind. How blessed will you be that they have nothing which to repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. There's a spiritual lesson in there. You have to also understand that they live community. We don't live community. So it's hard for us to comprehend this. They live community, okay? They live community.
What does that mean?
Like a kibbutz, okay? Oh. So they live community. And so when they do things, it's open to the whole, not just their friend or family, it's open to everyone in the community, because they're small. They're not like, I mean, this would be a huge, city. 7,000 people would be huge in Israel. Mm-hmm. Okay, a kibbutz is, 100, 250. Okay, they're small community. All right, and then you've got outliers, and you've got people outside maybe the camp, and they would be invited to come on in. Okay, it's community, and it's so that's what he's saying. Don't just invite, okay, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. We invite our family and friends. Mm-hmm. That's when we get together with family and friends. That's our tradition.
Mm-hmm. So we're all Christians, and we're all saved, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand what you're reading. we're all saved, we all go to heaven. But some of us have more rewards than others.
Yeah.
I mean, one of us lives in a mansion, the other one lives in a little shack on the corner, but we're still there, right?
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah. Well, different parable, but yeah, there are differences. There are. You know, I mean, sin is sin, but are there degrees? Well, the Old Testament says that there's different penalties for different sins, so that tells me there's degrees. So yeah, so there's degrees of rewards too. Do we know what those are? No. Do I care? Not to be callous? No. Do I need to do what I know to do? I need to be obedient. If my motive is the reward, then I'm wrong. I'm not gonna. Okay.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's not so. You know. Well, what are the rewards? I don't know. But my father's
seen and ear, you know.
Yeah, and my father's never given me anything bad. Why would he start then?
Yeah.
What do
Right.
I care? Matter of fact, and we'll actually get to it in a minute too. So it's a good that was a good comment. Good comment. All right, where am I? Okay, 15. On hearing this, one of the people at the table with Yeshua said to him, "How blessed are those who eat bread in the kingdom of God." But he replied, "Once a man gave a banquet and invited many people." Ah, here you go, Al. This is where you're at. When the time came for the banquet, he sent his slave to tell those who had been invited, "Come, everything's ready." But they responded with him with a chorus of excuses. All right, I'm just going to make some up. Okay, modern day. "Oh, I just bought a house. Oh, I just got married. Oh, I'm good. You know what? We're going on a trip. Oh, what are the other excuses?
I gotta do laundry.
Oh.
I gotta wash my
Whoa,
hair.
that's really careless.
I've
Woo.
had a bad week at work and I'm just not.
I'm tired.
I
Yeah,
have nothing to give.
I'm
right
tired.
now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, let's see what it says. Woo, those were some good ones. Okay. Let's see. What did he say? The first one said to him, "I just bought a field. I have to go out and see it. Please accept my apologies." Another said, "I just bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm on my way to test them out. Please accept my apologies."
All
Still
that could
another.
have done later.
"Yeah, I have just gotten married, so I can't come." And the slave came and reported these things to his man. In other words, I'm too busy to be bothered.
Yeah.
That's it.
How about Noah's day? Just saying. Then the owner of the house, in a rage, told his slave, "Quick, go outside into the streets and the alleys of the city and bring in the poor, the disfigured, the blind, and the crippled." And the slave said, "Sir, what you have ordered has been done, and there's still room." The master said to the slave, "Go out to the country roads and the boundary walls and insistently persuade people to come in so that my house will be full." Isn't there a scripture? "It's not my will that any should perish." I tell you, not one of those who were invited will get a taste of my banquet. So, examine, you know those things we talked about offense today? Right? Examining your heart works here too, doesn't it? Every day, okay? And if you find yourself so far away, go, "Oh man, maybe it's been weeks or months and you haven't read, you haven't prayed, and you find yourself in a spot and you're like, "Oh wow, how am I ever going to get back?" Oh, it's so simple. "I'm sorry, Abba. I have wandered away. I've missed you." You are, Abba. Right? I mean, that's simple. You know,
And we beat ourselves up
and
so bad.
and you separate.
Yeah.
Nothing can separate you from God but you.
Yeah.
All right. That's simple. That's simple. He doesn't want you to flog yourself, beat yourself up, and I can't do it again. You can't use me. What a lie.
That's what the world does to you.
Don't believe those lies. All right. Large crowds were traveling along with Yeshua, and turning, he said to them, "If anyone comes to me," this one's hard, "and does not hate his father, his mother, his wife, his children, his brothers, his sisters, yes, his own life besides, cannot be my disciple," Talmud. "Whoever does not carry his own execution stake and come after me cannot be my Talmud." Does it mean I'm supposed to hate you?
No.
It tells me I'm supposed to hate.
Gotta look that word up.
The word really means hate. It means I am to love God first and foremost, and not love anything above, including children, which I was guilty of for years and years.
Yeah.
Hard as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Yeah.
My children were the center of my life. They were the center of my world. Everything was around them.
Mm-hmm.
It was out of order. Okay? That's what this means. Put it in order. Put it in perspective. Put it right. Okay? God first. Then everything else. God first. God first. Okay. All right.
Well, then, it's kind of simple, because you put God first, then God will put everything in place.
Sometimes.
He will bless you.
Yeah.
He will
Yeah.
bless
Oh,
you.
yeah. Absolutely.
He will bless you.
Mhm.
And if you don't, then whatever you have, you ain't gonna keep.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I addressed this week is, I'm just going to say it. If you say you're going to do things God's way, and I'm going to paraphrase that and say, if you say you're God's, if you say you believe in Him, if you say you're living a life to Him and you're obeying, then do what He tells you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do it His way,
Mm-hmm.
not your way,
Right.
okay? That's simple. You say we profess, then do.
Frank Sinatra.
No, please don't do it your own way. There is a way that seems right to a man, or woman, or child.
Way of death.
That's right. And that leads to. That's right. That's right. Okay. All right. So, suppose one of you. Oh, and you know what? It says, "Whoever does not carry his own execution stake." I know there's a verse that says, "My yoke is easy," but you know what? Sometimes it doesn't feel easy.
It doesn't feel easy.
Okay. But he's saying, if you do it, it'll be easy. It will be. Once you get to the other side, you're like, I can't tell you when it was over. It was like, I didn't look back. No, did I? No regrets. No what ifs.
Slept.
No, it's back there. I ain't going back there.
Keep going back. Yeah.
Okay? All right.
The Lord's yoke is easy as long as we're not fighting it. A yoke is meant to help us to go in the direction that He has for us and to do what we're supposed to. But if we're fighting that, then it's going to feel a
Difficult.
lot harder.
Right.
It's going to weigh us down.
Okay.
Waste
So-
time.
Because we're really fighting ourselves. We're fighting our flesh.
There you go.
Yeah, that-
So
mhm.
it doesn't say, thank you, it doesn't say what you're going through will be easy.
No.
Okay, so do you understand? It doesn't say what you're going through will be easy. Did what I go through, was that fun?
No.
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 No, it never is. But His yoke, His way, as soon as I determined this was my action, I had peace.
Yes.
But then I had to step into it, and I had to remember, where did I have peace? That's the action I take. That's what I stand on. Don't add, don't take, don't deviate. That's when I lose the peace.
Right.
So trying to determine that, it's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find that, okay, no. Here's the peace. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what, okay, peace, peace, peace. Oh, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean hard. You can have peace and still be hard.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
But we can do all things through Him who gives us strength.
We can do things if we allow His Spirit to work with us and through us and not our own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? See how you can take things you learned and it just. All right. Okay. You got it? It's good, huh? Okay. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Don't you sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough capital or money, to complete it? And if you don't, then when you have laid the foundation but you can't finish it, all those people are, you couldn't even look at that. That man, he started something, look, he can't even finish it. What do we say? Count the cost. There's always a cost. Count the cost. You know, you think you got this, you think that, oh, this is where I'm going. Okay, before you step into it, consider. That's what it means to count the cost. Consider. Okay, you're going to miss things. You're not going to catch them all. That comes with experience. You're just not. But consider all the different possibilities you might think of, and then say, okay, if something comes up that I'm not aware of, you're either going to give me the grace, the means, or whatever to deal with it and learn, right? And handle it the correct way. Okay? Or again, suppose one king is going out to wage war with another king. Doesn't he first sit down and consider whether his 10,000 troops has enough strength to meet the other one who's coming against him with 20,000 troops? And if he hasn't, then while the other one is still far away, he sends a delegation to inquire about the terms of peace. So, you know what's interesting? It's usually the weak one that needs to make the peace. So every one of you who doesn't renounce all that he has cannot be my Talmud. Oh, that goes right back up to the whoever doesn't love or doesn't hate his father, his mother, his children. Why? Because it says, if you don't renounce all that you have, you cannot be mine. These are your children. This is your house. This is your work. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Salt is excellent. We talked about salt, right? Mm-hmm. But even if the salt becomes tasteless, how or what can be used to season it? It isn't fit neither for soil nor manure. Remember, it goes into the soil to help plants, and the time that they're living, they would use it for the manure to what? Kill the smell and stop the bacteria from growing, right? So it had purpose, right? We talked about that one before, okay? And it adds flavor, right? So flavor to your food, nutrients to the soil, and stops bad things from growing in stinky stuff. Okay. The tax collectors and sinners kept gathering around to hear Yeshua, and the Purushim and the Torah teachers kept grumbling. Oh, this fellow, they said, he welcomes sinners. Man, he eats with sinners. Do you do anything with sinners? Every day. So he told them this parable. If one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them, doesn't he leave the other 99 in the desert and go after the lost one until he finds it? And let me tell you, there's a lot of desert there. A lot of desert there, okay? But in the desert, there are these secret streams. I mean, there were places that looked so desolate, and then there were all the sheep, so you knew the shepherd was leading them to a stream he knew of. That makes 23 come alive. When he does find it, he joyfully hoists it onto his shoulder, and when he gets home, he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Come celebrate with me because I have found my lost sheep." I tell you that in the same way, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who turns to God from his sins than over 99 righteous people who have no need to repent. Please hold on to that, okay? Another example. What woman, if she has 10 drachmas, that's a coin, and loses money, and loses one of these valuable coins, won't light a lamp, sweep the house and search all over until she finds it? And when she does find it, she calls her friends and neighbors and she says, "Come and what?
Celebrate.
Come and celebrate with me. Come and celebrate with me," right? Because I have found the drachma I lost. In the same way, I tell you, there is joy among God's angels when one sinner repents. Shouldn't we be concerned about those souls? It kind of goes with what I said today. If your goal isn't for a saved soul, a relationship restored, your goal was wrong. Doesn't mean that it's going to be. Okay, that's not your choice. That's not your action, that's theirs. Again, Yeshua said, a man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the estate that will be mine." So the father divided the property between them. And as soon as he could convert his share into cash, The younger son left home and went off to a distant country where he squandered his money in reckless living. But after he had spent it all, a severe famine arose throughout that country and he began to feel the pinch. That's what it says. It got tough. Okay, so let's stop there for a second. I want to talk about two sets of sons. Two sets of sons. The first set of sons is the first set of sons. One, entitled. He had an entitled attitude, right? Was one of those two sons, did he have a sense of, entitled isn't really the word I'm looking for, but it's close. Privilege, thank you. Whoops. That's the word. Did one of the first set of sons feel privileged and prideful?
Right.
How about the other one? Am I talking Cain? Cain. How about Abel? He was obedient, right? Probably humble. Was there love in that relationship?
Between Cain and Abel?
No.
Yeah.
On Abel's part,
We don't know, but probably he had the right attitude.
when Cain asked him to come go with him, he went.
True. But we know beyond a shadow of a doubt there's no love from Cain to Abel, right?
Right.
Okay, so, but didn't we just read a verse about not loving brothers and, right? But that, you see how that doesn't, so what it lines up is God first, okay? God first. So you've got to, when you read those scriptures, you've got to put them into context, okay? All right, so Cain had no love. All right, then there's a second set of brothers. An older one who complies. I'm choosing that word specifically. Complies.
Complies, so he just listens and does
He does what is
told.
required.
Mhm.
Is his heart necessarily
No.
in it?
No.
Is his attitude correct?
No.
But he's complying. Train up a child in the way they should go. Okay, this didn't start with Cain. It didn't start at that point in time. Okay, it's something.
No.
It's part of his character. So the two that I'm going to be talking about right now, it's part of his character. Okay, so it's a character flaw. So it is something that's been there. It's not something that just appeared. Okay, there's got to be. It's deep inside, and see, situations have a tendency, just like I
Bring
talked
it
about.
out.
Just like I talked about this morning about learning offenses. Be willing to, you're going to have to let go of some things because it's going to reveal something in you that you've
Right.
got to let go of. Okay? So when circumstances happen, it's going to reveal, that's got to, okay, change. All right. So one is full of pride because he's compliant. And the other one has entitlement and wants to do independence. Take it because I can go do. Right? Let's find out. So he went and he attached himself to one of the citizens of that country. Oh, wait, remember we said he squandered his money, right, in reckless living. But after he spent it all, a severe famine arose throughout the country. And so he probably lost his full inheritance, right? So much for knowing it all and doing it your own way. He did it his own way. And he lost, right? Now he's hungry. So he went and he attached himself to one of the citizens of that country where he went, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. Okay, now that's a bad job for this audience, right?
Like
Okay.
the worst job.
That's a worse job, all right? Go feed these unclean pigs who eat garbage. Okay, pigs eat anything, dead or alive. Rotten, doesn't matter. It's not good food. At last he came to his senses. Oh, wait, let me back up. So he went and attached himself. I did that one. He longed to fill his stomach with the carob pods the pigs were eating, but no one gave him any. He wanted to eat what he was feeding the pigs. At last he came to his senses. He woke up and said, any number of my father's hired workers have food to spare. Is he thinking, I'm going to go back on my son? No, he's not going back with privilege now, is he? Here I am starving to death. I'm going to get up and go back to my father, and I'm going to say to my father, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired workers. How long did that take, that sentence? Less than a minute. A month you haven't been in your word, 3 days, whatever, haven't prayed, and you find yourself, man, how did I get here? Abba, I wandered away. I messed up. That fast. It's here. So the concept's there, okay? So he got up and he started back to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with pity. He ran and threw his arms around him and kissed him warmly. Sounds like the lost sheep. His son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But his father said to the slaves, Quick, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him, and put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet, and bring the calf that has been fattened up and kill it, and let's eat and have a
Celebration.
Because he was lost, but he's been found. So if one who's wronged me, and I go, and going back to the offense from this morning, shouldn't the goal be, oh, you know what? Yeah, restoration, a soul or souls coming, right? How about the people out there that are doing all? Our heart should be longing for those souls. We should walk by and want to speak to everybody because man, that one's going to hell. That one's going. Why am I walking past them? They're going to hell. I need to. Right? There should be this longing to save the lost. Okay? For this son of mine was dead. See, if you're outside of the will, you're outside, you leave, you're dead. Right? But now he's alive again. He was lost, but now he's been found. And they began celebrating. They were having a party. Now his older son was in the field and he came close to the house and he heard music and dancing. And he's like, what's going on? My brother came back. Yay!
No.
No? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Surely he loves his brother. Do you love your sister? Good answer. Do you love your brother? I'm putting you on the spot. This one's doing this. Don't ask me. Boy, did I put you all on the spot? You know, it's hard when you're in the same house. You know each other's fault, but here's the thing. You got to give each other grace and you got to allow each other to grow and to change. And when they maybe change and treat you nice, accept it for what it is and don't go, well, you always, don't ever use the word always as a fighting words.
They are fighting.
Okay? You never. Never is not a word that should be in your vocabulary when you're talking about somebody doing something. Never and always. They're fighting words. Because is it true? Huh? And they're not true. Is it true that I never do that? No. Is it true I always do? No. So speak the truth in love. Okay? Consider them. We got to learn to love each other. It says, we say every Shabbat, love your neighbor as your... Who's your neighbor?
Everyone.
Oh, but who's your closest neighbor? Who's your closest neighbor? Who's your closest neighbor? Who's your closest neighbor? Your family, your household, your house. Okay? If you can't love in your house, then I got news for you. You ain't obeying.
Yeah, don't export it.
Okay? So there's your challenge and goal. Work on that. And in order to do that, that means you have to ask God to change you. You have to be willing to say, maybe I'm not very lovable sometimes. Okay? So you got to work on that, siblings. Yeah.
And I think it's hard when, you know, you're loving, but you feel, you know that others might not be loving back. And it's kind of hard.
You feel like it's not reciprocated. Mm-hmm. And we all go through different stages, right?
Mhm.
So see, it's harder in your own household. Okay? So that's a really, that's right. And that's in your own household is that's your school. That's where you learn. That's where you put into practice these things, because you can't do it outside if you can't do it in here, okay? So we gotta work on us. Am I talking to all of you?
Talking with everybody.
Am I talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Doggone it. I'm gonna go home. Oh, I am home. Darn. All right. And allow the Holy Spirit to be their Holy Spirit. Don't you tell him. Okay? You need to. Maybe you need to look in the mirror. Oh, look at these. I saw these smiles. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Now the older son was in the field, and he came close to the house. He heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and he asked, "What's going on?" And the servant told him, "Your brother has come back, and your father has slaughtered the calf that was fatted up because he's gotten him back safe and sound." We should rejoice. Heaven rejoices when one comes back, right? Let me tell you, there's some in my life that if I get to physically see him coming back, you better believe there's going to be some shouting going on. There's going to be some major parties. I'm going to be dancing in the street. Maybe on the roof. I don't know.
You're prepared for that, though. You're prepared for that. I mean, I know the I've had this story has been, I've heard it so many times, and it seems like everybody always is so quick to relate to the sheep that's come back. But hardly anyone ever relates to that son who was left out in the field.
Nope, I'm getting there.
And I had a problem with that.
Mhm.
And I still sometimes kind of like, give him a minute. This is a huge shock and surprise, and he probably left on bad terms. I mean, in real relationships, we don't just automatically rejoice when someone who's treated us like junk.
Oh, but we don't know
comes
that. That's
back.
an assumption. We don't know
Well,
that.
I'm just saying, this has been I've seen it and experienced through the
Yeah.
years that sometimes you're prepared and sometimes you're not.
Right.
And this was definitely a shock for him.
Yeah.
Because no one came out in the field looking for him. He was on his way home and he happened to run into a servant.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'm not saying that he's right in his attitude. Does he need to forgive his brother? 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Does he need to talk with his dad about his concerns? 100%. He should do it with respect because it is all still his daddy's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we are human and we have emotions, and he has to get with his brother too and resolve that issue.
I get that. But those things aren't here. And that's a problem, because I've looked at that, and I've looked at sons, and I've looked at their bottom line. Look at Jonah. Okay, Jonah was sent.
Yeah.
Jonah's attitude was wrong.
Yep.
So, as a firstborn, firstborns are compliant. Firstborns are very compliant.
We try to do what we're told.
Yes,
I'm not
Okay.
firstborn, but
Be
I'm
good.
compliant.
We want to be good.
but firstborns are compliant, and so there's
I want him to be good.
there's something there about compliance that is out of order. There's something there about compliance that is wrong. Okay, both sons have issues, and that's what the story is showing you.
Yes.
Both sons
Yes.
are incorrect. Okay,
If it makes sense.
both sons. Okay, but one came to his
But
senses.
the father was, in reading this, you know, the father assumed that his oldest son would understand.
Yeah.
Because the father says, "You're always with me."
Oh, I haven't
Like,
gotten there. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
You're
yeah.
always with
You're
me.
always with me.
And you understand, if you've been a parent, you understand the heart of the father.
Right.
I mean, if I had a kid that had gone off and done all kinds of
Oh,
stuff,
yeah.
and then they come back, they're in their right mind and they're wanting to do the right things. You better believe I'm thrilled as punch. This is my child out of my body. You bet, 100%. I understand his point of view. I really do. And I don't blame him one bit for celebrating.
Right.
There should be a celebration.
Yes, there should be, but we should also celebrate. Okay, so that's the whole point. And if you can't eat, so that's something we have to work out to line up to what it says. We have to, regardless of our position, regardless of whether we're firstborn, whether we're compliant, whether we're second. Regardless, it has to line up. Okay, so as a firstborn, could I say, I've always done, but I'm did this and I did that and I did this and I did that. Yeah. So what?
You've done your duty.
Exactly. So you're telling me you're entitled to, like your brother?
Your brother.
Okay, so
He needs an
it
attitude
boils back
adjustment.
down to getting down. Yes, it boils
That's a
back
heart
down
issue.
to the root of the heart.
Yeah.
Okay, it boils back down to the root of the heart.
I think in this instance too, though, and I'm not saying, we have to watch out because, we put stuff in there, but you have to wonder if he had that question, maybe he felt like his dad didn't love him.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to go back to this. So let me go back to this and let me get back to where I'm going with this,
Okay.
because I'm going to stick to what it says here.
Yeah,
And
I'm
what
not
it-
saying, I
what it
know that
says-
would be reading something into it
Well,
because of what he says, later. I'm just saying, that's made me think.
well, we can think, but let me get back to where we're going. So the father came out and pleaded. Look, son, I have worked, or look, the son said, I have worked for you all these years. I've never disobeyed your orders. Doesn't mean his heart was right.
Right.
But you have never even given me a young goat. How come you didn't do this for me? How come you didn't do that? I don't celebrate with my friends. Yet this son of yours, he squandered away. He's this, and you can see right there, there's a comparison. Am I to compare myself with somebody else? No. Am I to compare myself? Oh, here comes this last one. Oh, yeah, but he did this and this and this and this and this and this. None of my business. None of my business. My business is my heart. My business is my heart, okay? Yet this son of yours who squandered your property with prostitutes, how does he know that? Now he's making stuff up. And for him you slaughter the fatted calf. Son, you're always with me, said the father, and everything I have is yours. All he ever had to do with the right attitude was ask. Okay? All he ever had to do was ask. There is, as a firstborn, there is an attitude firstborns have. We do have a different mindset than a second or a third or a fourthborn. That's a scientifically proven fact. Birth order matters.
Yes, it does.
Okay? So what it's showing you is, regardless of your birth order, my words, get your crap together. Get your heart lined up. And so, yeah, it might pierce us and it might make us mad. Well, I understand. I don't care if I understand. My heart's, I might still understand it and I might want to respond that way, but I'm wrong. So I have to line up. Okay? Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter my perspective. Doesn't matter my birth order. I have to line up. Okay? One son came to his senses and didn't come back entitled, came back, man, I'm gonna go feed my father. I'm gonna be my father's servant. Not requiring, requesting, or demanding anything. He lost it and knew it. See, that's the thing about somebody who's made a huge mistake versus somebody who's complied and never made a mistake. Well, there's pride. I've never made a mistake. I did this. I did that. I've been here all along. I've been faithful. Ay, 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 ay. Right? You've all heard me talk about my eyes. Me's and eyes, okay? So it's lining up, regardless of birth order, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of this other individual, regardless of other individuals. It's me and the Father. So was this son, I did this and I did that. Why were you doing it for favor, or did you do it out of love? It doesn't sound like love. Okay? So we've got to be allowed to look at these things and pierce our hearts and change. So it's got to be love. This brother, the firstborn, needs more compassion. Firstborns don't have a lot of compassion. Oh, I see a snicker over there from a firstborn. Firstborns, you don't necessarily have a lot of compassion. That's not true of all firstborns. It's not, okay? But it's a character of a firstborn, okay? I was a firstborn. Let me tell you, I knew compassion because my father was a baby. And so who was my example? My father, okay? My favorite aunt was the secondborn. Oh, Lord, don't get me started.
She whined a lot.
Oh, Lord, don't get me started. So I had the influence. You see what I'm saying? Birth order is very important, okay? But we've got to be willing to listen. We've got to be willing to let go. We've got to be willing to release. Matter of fact, some of the most volatile relationships are between two firstborns. Dr. Lehman had an example in one of his books that cracked me up, and he said, the two shall be one. It's like one ram running up one side of the mountain and one ram running up the other side of the mountain. They lock horns. They're one. Those are two firstborns. Okay? So, understanding birth order. Can we understand things humanly? Yeah, it would be wisdom says to understand those things. Okay? But line it up. The core here is the heart. The core here is regardless of what you feel, regardless of what you think, regardless of your perspective. Well, but I've always done this, the firstborn. I did this and I did that and I. Doesn't sound very humble. Doesn't sound very loving. And that's the point of the story, is to show us, to line up. Okay, you may think what does he say? You're going to come to me and say, Lord, Lord, I knew you. Go away. But I did this and I did this and I did. Oh, but where's the heart? Okay, it's the heart. It's the motive of the heart. It's always the motive of the heart. Yet the son of yours comes. Oh, let me go down here. Son, you are always with me, said the father, and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was what? Dead. But has come back to life. He was lost, but he has been found. And son, you're here, but you're sleeping. You're stagnant. Line up. Come into the fold. Have some love. Let's rejoice together, right? Let's rejoice together. So one who, quote unquote, slandered, did things wrong, lied, whatever. If they came to my door and repent, would I receive them with joy?
Yes.
I better. If not, I'm wrong. Okay? Regardless of whether I'm prepared for it or not. Really, truly, we've got to learn to walk this. I think of Warnbaugh. Oh, I never say that name right. Tortured for Christ, the wife. They were in Russia, and one of the Russian soldiers murdered heinously her family. He lived, after a time, he lived across the street from the husband and wife, the wife whose parents and siblings he murdered. And one night, there was an encounter with the husband and the murderer. And he was having a hard time and just bawling his eyes out. And he confessed what he had done. And the husband says, you need to come home with me and talk to my wife. No! This is what she's going to do. She's going to love you and hug you and make you a meal. Now, mind you, she's at home in bed, sound asleep. Guess what? heinously murdered the family. She's not prepared, okay? She gets up and she loves him and she makes him a meal. And he becomes an ambassador for Christ. Why? Love. 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 The whole thing is love. Okay? It's all about the condition of our heart and the motive of our heart. And the motive of our heart better be love. The end. Okay, let me see if I have I might have a song. I don't know. That's all right. Stand. Go ahead, stand up. Stand. V'yarekka Adonai v'yashmerecha, Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'yihunecha, Yisai Adonai panav elecha v'yihunecha, v'yeshlemcha shalom, v'yeshlemcha shalom. This is the way you shall be blessed. Day after day, he'll be your rest. May the Lord bless and keep you. May his face and his grace shine upon you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, and give you peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.